Hey guys, welcome back. So today I want to start a little series in Sandbox, basically doing a bunch of sandbox tests, where either I have something in mind that I want to compare, or maybe you guys have something you want to compare. And so feel free to leave a comment of what you want compared and what a good reason is for it, because again, I'm looking to make a little series out of this. So with that said, let's begin, and what's the first comparison on the table? Well, I did get this one YouTube comment a few days ago, and let's just read it. So ISAB, I'm gonna have to call you on this one. This was on the MOAB Domination video, by the way, or not the MOAB Domination, but the Kylie boomerangs only, where I didn't go for the MOAB Domination because it sucks, and I still have to say it sucks even before testing this. By the way, I did test this in sandbox mode. It just wasn't in a video. But anyways, let's continue. You think that the special ring is the only thing that gets upgraded, but the buff was also to the regular attack. Yes, I did know that. I just didn't mention it. And I tested it, and it's stronger than a dark champion. Alright. Well, that's a really big statement, but first of all, I gotta stop you there. First things first, why compare it to a dark champion? Because nobody uses the dark champion. Nobody uses it because it's overpriced. And yeah, it's just not practical to get in a real game. So even if the MOAB Domination was better than the dark champion, which I'm not gonna disagree right now, it's possible it is, that still wouldn't prove very much, because something better than a bad tower doesn't necessarily mean the tower is good, or the upgrade is good. But I guess that's what sandbox testing is for, so I guess we'll test it. MOAB Domination versus Dark Champion. So obviously the MOAB Domination is for MOABs, but I'm going to test first with Bloons, just to cover every case. Because I'm sure there's always going to be one person out there that's going to say, hey, you didn't test X balloon or X type of balloon, even though it's painfully obvious that what's going to happen is that the MOAB Domination is going to lose versus Bloons. So let me just verify that's going to lose. Starting with 100 super cerams, or not super cerams, but just 100 normal cerams, and you see that the domination cannot keep up, and it's gonna get how many pops before it exits? About 6,000, and a lot of lives lost. Now as for Dark Champion, I expect this guy will solo all those cerams. 204, I know the prices aren't the same. This one sells for 64,000, and the boomerang sold for like 50. So you do have to keep that in mind, but they're close enough that, well, if there's a huge difference between the Dark Champion and the Boomerang, for example, as Bloons, as you see there, then yeah, the price difference doesn't really make a difference. So for Bloons, obviously Dark Champion 1, MOAB Domination 0, but let's try to give the MOAB Domination its strength, aka non-bad Bloons, and hopefully non-DETs. So I'm gonna try with ZMGs. How about, I don't know, 30 ZMGs, and we'll set the round to like 90 to take into account for ramping. Not that it matters, but let's see how much damage it does. Now we know the 025 also has a knockback effect, but that's already pretty much taken into account. I mean, this guy's already pushing back the ZMG, so it's giving it more time to do damage. But I guess we'll also take into account the damage and the special knockback, because the knockback on this guy is way stronger than the 204, of course. So you'll probably have other towers also attacking the ZMGs, which would give more damage compared to a Dark Champion, which obviously wouldn't push back as much, but there we go. It's out of range and it's done 88,000 damage. Now, the thing is, this thing is infinite range, so it's going to keep doing damage periodically, as you see here. So, I'm not sure. I think I'm going to stop it here, though. 112k, because I think that's good enough for comparison here, so let's sell that. 204. Now, this thing's going to stop attacking once it exits its radius, and it's not going to do any extra damage. Well, let's just try 204 versus 30 ZMGs. So it needs about 130,000 damage to pass the MOAB Domination, and right now it's about halfway, and the ZMGs, well, some of them are getting knocked back, as you see. This one's a little slower than the other. And this one actually popped into BFBs and MOABs. Okay, so it got 118. The MOAB Domination only got 118, like, at around this bend once the ZMGs were here. So I'm really not sure what to think. Of course, you get a benefit from the infinite range of the MOAB Domination, but is that really enough to take it over a Dark Champion, even though nobody uses Dark Champion? I'm not sure. This is actually a really close comparison, and I really can't say, like, for certain that the MOAB Domination is better than Dark Champion in this test. I'm not sure what this guy used in Sandbox to test it. Probably something to make the Boomerang look good. So let's make the Boomerang look good. What's the best round where you should use the MOAB Domination? Like, 98s? I guess 98s. I'm not going to bother testing DTs because this guy's going to lose badly. We already know, so let's try round 98s. How much damage does it do? And that's all we're looking for. Because again, knockback is going to give it more damage. So let's just see here. So the moment all the balloons exit the radius, we're looking at how much damage, 55,000, but we're just gonna let the rest of the balloons leak as well. See how much damage the boomerang has after everything. So yes, we're even gonna give it an advantage. See if it does anything with the advantage. 73,000, 77. It's going up like 4K, 6K every usage. And for some reason it stopped attacking. I wonder why. That's kind of weird. I thought it would do it like permanently. I guess once it stops attacking, then it just doesn't attack. I'm not sure. But there we are. 77,000 with even a little bit of a head start with the infinite range stuff. So let's try 204. I expect this guy will probably win because it's going to pop the BFB. It's going to get the insides thanks to knockback. Yeah, you see it right there? Got a few cerams leaking, but it does actually pop. Does a lot more damage than the MOAB Domination. So honestly, the only reason you want to get a MOAB Domination is for the utility. But even then, you already get utility with the Dark Champion. 120,000 pops. And that's where it's going to end off. About twice as good as the Kylie Boomerang and 30% more expensive. So, well, all I see here is that the Dark Champion is better than MOAB Domination. So again, I'm not sure where those sandbox tests came from the commenter, but I'm still going to stand by the notion that MOAB Domination is absolute garbage and probably needs a buff. Not probably, absolutely. So yeah, case closed on this comparison. Dark Champion wins. And keep in mind the MOAB Domination is useless versus DTs and bads. So there's another point for the 204 Super Monkey. So on to test number 2. Now this is something I did mention also in the Boomerang video. If you saw in the very end, when the bad pops, all the ZMGs go flying back, even though we only had 10 on the map, like 10 more presses. It knocked them back pretty damn far. So what I want to do is, I want to take it to the extreme. I want to see what's the farthest you can push a MOAB back, or a ZMG, or whatever, any type of MOAB class balloon. So we're basically going to spam one intersection with 004 boomers. Sadly, since they don't have infinite range anymore, feels bad. Okay, so I'm almost certain this many boomerangs is enough to push back the ZMG from here to the start, but let's find out for ourselves. Let's also get one more MOAB eliminator here. Just so we make sure this thing pops, this bad pops at this intersection, because that's where I base all my boomerangs around. We also got an extra 005 at the back, because that one's got infinite range on the Kylie, so it doesn't really matter. So, one bad coming hot right now, around 100, let's go. And we'll just slowly use the MOAB eliminator ability, just so it gets a little damaged. Yeah, it's at its last band right now, last bit of damage, so use the ability, how about now and let it rip. Where did they go? Okay, that was kind of underwhelming. Okay, so it seems like there's a limit to how far they can get pushed back, because I thought they would stack infinitely, but I guess not. Now, you see right now, pretty visually stunning, but action-wise, I kind of expected more knockback. Needs more knockback, please and thanks. So sadly, our plan to push the ZMGs back to start has failed. Okay, so I messed up a little bit here, guys. You can actually push back the bad a decent amount. You just can't push it all the way, as in like the DTs inside, the ZMGs inside the bad. You don't go all the way back at once, but you can do a pretty damn good job at it. So let me just show you right here. After we pop this Fortify bad, by the way. Fortify just so it lasts a little bit longer. And it's actually going to exit. Give me a second here. Make sure it doesn't actually die here. Okay, there we go, okay. Now it popped, and see what happened there? You just gotta get them all across the map, and then they'll, I guess, slowly nudge backwards and backwards. See there? There we go. It took about 2 cycles, and now they're back to the starts, all the way to the entrance. Now that's what I'm looking for. That, ladies and gents, is exactly what I want to see. So theoretically, if we cram them even closer together, unlike this mess we got right now, you probably could get an even more insane kind of knockback, but I think this is good enough for what I want to see. And now for our next comparison that I have in mind. Arc Mage versus multiple Arcane Spikes. Which one is more cost efficient? Because, well, you probably would be thinking that a tier 5 should be more cost efficient than a tier 4. But that's not the case for a lot of towers, and it might not be the case for the Arc Mage. Even though the Arc Mage is a decent tier 5, when you pair it with the Alchemist, it's actually not as good compared to putting the Alchemist on a Arcane Spike. So let's test it. First of all, we gotta see how many Arcanes are worth an Arc Mage. So you see here an Arc Mage sells for 36,000. And I guess we'll include an Alchemist too, just to make it fair. 402, because you're normally gonna wanna buff an Alchemist anyways. So it's about 41,000 sells for, alright. On average, you'll want a 401. Each one sells for 10,000. So I'm gonna say 3 of them. and 2 alchemists. How's that sound? 3 of them sell for 31,000. And if you had 2 more 402s, that pretty much makes 41, so pretty much close to perfect. Alright. So how are we going to test these towers exactly? Well, good question. We're basically going to test actual rounds of the game, because obviously that's more accurate than testing random sandbox numbers that you're never going to see in a real game. So let's try round 90 with a couple DTs that round. And we'll set at 500k lives every test. Just in case the Archmage leaks lives, then we have something to fall back on to see how much lives were lost. But no, as you see, Arcane Spike can NLL that round just fine. So the Arcane Spike did not lose any lives, but it was kind of close. The Bloons were about to get out of range of the Archmage, but the Archmage got it just in time. Good to know. So 3 402s and 2 Alchemists. How are they going to do versus DDTs? About the same, honestly, if it looks like. The DDTs get popped in like a moderate amount of time, and the Ceramics get popped right around the bend here. So far, both tied. Let's up the ante a little bit. Since we have the setup here already, let's try out 94. 94 is a decently tough round, and we'll probably lose some lives doing so, after all said and done. Because Archmages aren't quite known for their Strap-on power, nor are Arcane Spikes. They're mostly for the mobs, but we're just going to leave it on first. Like, the thing is, the Pierce is going to get hit anyways. It's going to hit the Pierce cap. Because these bolts are, like, flying around in circles. So they're almost always going to, yeah, use up all their Pierce. And how many lives are going to lose? Already 20,000. 22,000 down the drain. And at the end of the day, we have about 70,000 lives lost. 69,000 if you don't want to round. But let's try the Archmage. So we'll do a quick little test here, and it looks like already, after the BPs are gone, we've already lost more lives than Arcane Spikes. And yeah, that's a lot more than 69,000 lives lost. Looks like around 85,000, so if we're looking at pure firepower here, it looks like the Arcane Spikes are a little bit better. So Arcane Spikes win in this test, and there's one more test I think I will try out, and that's the bad. Because if we're talking about like using these wizards in an actual game, you're obviously going to want to use them versus strong blues like the bad. That's pretty much like the best, or one of the best ways to pop the bad without using abilities. Archmage is pretty efficient in that regard. So let's see how much damage it does in the bad before it exits here. So it looks like it's about 8,000. And as you see, the range was like fluctuating back and forth because the Archmage actually eats up the Alchemist attacks faster than the Arcane Spikes, and that's why people are saying that Arcane Spikes are better. So 8,000 is what we got to beat here. So I actually messed up here. The range of this guy can actually reach the bad on the very left side. So let's ignore this one actually. Let's just take the damage of the middle Archmage, or the Arcane Spike, and multiply it by 3. So that's 3,000 times 3 equals 9,000. These guys got more pops in because they were reaching the right side and the left side. Doesn't count, so get rid of them. Actual pops in the Arcane Spike is 3,000 times 3, 9,000. So marginally better than the Archmage, at least in this test, but it does seem like that Archmage may not be worth it after all. Like, assuming space isn't an issue, then you might be better off just, like, going for bulk instead of going for the strongest tier 5. So, just for one more test here, gonna try some 401s versus Bloons, and then a 520 or 502 Archmage. Let's try 100 spaced Super Scrams, and let's go. See how much damage it does, or how much lives we leak. And actually, we're not gonna leak any lives at all, so let's up the ante. Fortified Super Cerams, let's go. Surely we'll leak lives here, right? Yes, we will. But very, very few. That's like 100 lives at most, and that's kind of nuts. I thought for sure we were gonna leak a ton of lives there, because again, they're not known for their super strong pop power, but I guess this test really works in their favor, so let's try the Archmage. And see how many lives we leak this time. I'm gonna leave the lives there. And let's go. 100 Super Cerams. And Archmage is gonna leak a couple hundred versus... Oh, no, not a couple hundred. That's like 1,000, 2,000. Okay. So I think we have it pretty clear, folks. Archmage, while it's a solid tier 5 tower, it's actually outshined by not another 5th tier tower, but its own tier 4 counterpart, which is kind of sad if you think about it. So, does Archmage need a buff? Or does Arcane Spike need a nerf? Who knows? Let's wait for Ninja Kiwi to decide in the next update. But there it is, guys. I'm going to stop here. But again, if you have some sandbox test comparisons that you want me to test, then feel free, because I plan to make this a series again. Got a few more comparisons in my mind right now, but I'll save that for another video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.